get started. Who wants to do the recap? Should we have one? Who's into that now?
I did a lot, so why not I?
Take it away.
All right. So we started again on the road to Lannisport, our first destination on the trip to find out where the Longthorn was. On the way, we were stopped by a Lannis guard officer and his men, where with some breed deceivery and some stupid looks between Varen and Alaric, we got through nice and happily. All the way to Lannisport, we weren't bothered after that. We were let into Lannisport after some more deceivery, and then we went to basically a tavern. Sold off the silk that we were hauling around, and Sir Ashra went off with Eden Risley, and they went to go do a thing somewhere. And while we were waiting, we saw the shady guy from the whole darkroom incident in the bar. Kevin and Ren went out. Kevin, Ren, and Mansa went out to go and try catch him in the crowd, and realized that we were being surrounded by Lannis guards or city guards, whatever. So Mansa went back into the tavern, told us, and Alaric decided that we were going to play it cool. And we were taken into custody, in a sense, or, well, rather, Bree, Alaric, and Varen was. Everybody else was left alone. We were taken to the Lannister Manor in the centre of Lannisport, and we were stripped of armour, weapons, and placed in locked room from Moral Lannister, the guy that he supposedly, like, lots of money and interchanging and horror, and apparently getting a Lady Hightower to respite for some unknown reason, because as always Alaric still cannot remember. But through some sweet talking on Alaric's part, Moral agreed to tell us where the Longthorn is in Castamere, including all of his group, which so happens to include Alaric's son. And then agreed to help us get into Castamere. Not so much out, but at least in. And I think we agreed to go in as a group of guards. And I think that was pretty much it. We were allowed back out with all of our stuff. We met up. And yeah, happy days.
That is certainly the current plan. As you sort of hang out in Dennisport, you have been issued basically brigandine armor or breastplates in Lannister colors and with the damn lion embroidery and everything. Your weapons, you've been told, should be okay as long as they have no, like, basically conflicting heraldry on there. It's mostly the armor that'll need to be made fancy Lannister. Though Ashra, for example, is very unhappy that he has to put off his, like, all flower embroidered full plate with all the fancy Tyrell things on it that he so far has just been sort of keeping under a conspicuously green and golden cloak. It seems now, though, that yeah, he's not going so far as to argue about it. As he'll have to put on this inferior, both in design and coloring, armor piece.
Breastplate of brigandine, you say?
Nope. That's what the guards wear here. All very nice. It's very nicely made. I mean, cost a fortune, probably.
Yes, just far heavier than Brendan's used to. This will be interesting.
I mean, he can also just wear nothing. Like, just wear clothes. That's fine, too. As long as there's no conflict in heraldry, and as long as he has tons of Lannister lions on him, it should be okay.
I suppose that's an option to get my 1 point of armor to, so I can keep my combat defense where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd be flooring it. So.
No.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Bree has been in the care of a probably the first septa she's ever seen. A very strict woman who seems to have no happiness in her life, and who seems very insistent that Bree should be clean and well dressed. She is not at all happy when Bree has returned her sort of traveling clothes, even though they have been washed in the meantime. I assume then the Bree would rather wear her own clothes than the long white plain gown that she would be given by.
Considering the goals of the group, yeah, she would.
Yeah. She would also be suggested by Ralad to Alaric, because Bree wouldn't be there yet. The lady is very insistent. It takes some time to actually get away from her. That perhaps Bree could be his lordship Moral. There's a woman being kept at Castamere, and his lordship has such an eye for her, though he's very shy about it. So potentially, should there be questions, simply say that the little one is there to speak a poem for this lady that simply should not be heard by someone outside of the two of them. And of course the mind of a child would be unable to understand any of the complex meaning.
I wish you guys it portrayed exactly what Alaric would have looked like. Just a mixture of confusion and dismay that they have not even heard slightly of the reputation of Bree as to propose such a ludicrous plan. But he'll go, I'll bring it up with her.
It is merely a suggestion. He sort of smiles this, but it will so wonderfully colour this trip to be inconspicuous.
Alaric will shrug and say, I doubt she will do it, but I will give her the option.
Like the second fucking landed knight, Lord Commander.
He doesn't give a shit. He wants to do it. I don't know. He's not gonna argue.
He sort of looks at Narg for a little moment and says, "Good then." And this is anything else you need? Looking at all the armor and such spread around the room.
We have to assume he speaks.
Could Alaric get away with wearing his armor? Or Varen as well, because they're both.
You do have a nice skull helmet and stuff like that.
Well, maybe I have to leave that somewhere. But... I mean,
it certainly is not inconspicuous.
Yeah, the rest.
But you can of course just do it. I mean, you don't have to do what this guy says necessarily. He's not your dad.
All right, we'll leave the skull helmet somewhere. I don't know. Put it in his pack.
Point to find a cubby hole.
Yeah. We'll just put it in a carry pack that we have, I'm sure, somewhere. Varen's probably holding it.
I have a wagon still, even though there's not much in it. We'll put some food in there for the travel. There aren't going to be as many inns and taverns going into the mountains. There's generally guard stations, but in times of war, they're not well stocked for travelers.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you would also be better off not visiting them too much.
Sounds like a plan.
Beyond that, you don't really see Moral Lannister much. If asked, Roland will simply say that this whole situation has given him some stress issues that he is dealing with.
Sure. whatever gets him through it, I guess.
Having seen him a few times, you're pretty sure that that's copious amounts of alcohol. At least going by his reputation in the city.
Yeah. So Alark is keeping his full plate then?
Yeah, or just cover it in a lot of Lannister colours.
Yeah.
Tabard and
We'll
such.
probably do the same then.
Yeah.
We need lots of Lannister insignias, as many as you can get.
Yeah, it's like Lannister surcoats and like the cloth underneath that hangs out from the skirting is all Lannister colours and everything. Yeah. Everything Lannister colour.
I'm sure Sir Alaric's loving dressing as Lannister colours.
You can see, like, as he's getting dressed in this, he's just mumbling away, fucking something about the red and the gold being too pompous. Yeah.
Like the most complaint
Asher
you
gives
get
you a
is...
side glance as he takes off his like stark green and golden clothing. Didn't miss him.
Like, fucking Lannister's fucking piece of lying.
Like the biggest complaint coming from Ren is like he would normally never wear yellow because it blends with the sound.
It's gold, not yellow.
Yeah, it's gold, man. Don't you
He's
know?
very good. He's very good, you know.
Varen is just tense for the task at hand, really. Not really caring about the clothes.
Alark's pissed about the clothes.
After a little while, Bree will be allowed into the room, basically shown where the others are. She's well washed and probably well rested compared to what she's been on the road, since it's been, really good. A noble girl, they take good care of those, turns out. She's really considered a threat, not really much there. She's just kind of being fed well, taken care of, It's almost like being home, but away from home.
Bree,
And of course, her family isn't here.
Bree feels conflicted. Perhaps if she were a more mature, older person, a wiser person, she would appreciate the perks of that. But instead, still being early in her teens, instead she's thinking, if that was going to be my life, if Halen were still alive, really it was for the best that he's no longer alive, because like her skin's still sore, her scalp is sore.
Oh yeah.
It's a mixed bag.
He's probably like a red all over and has never been so clean.
Like,
Well, never before she got captured in Dorne.
Yeah. They didn't really bathe her there. So, it was different. Yeah, not necessarily bad, just different.
Yeah. So all of you see her, at least not coming in the door. At least, like with the scepter looking there, frowning as he looks into the room with all these men doing their men things and what they're subjecting this girl to. But she has her orders, and God forbid that she should not follow them. She will just judge all of you harshly, and then let you see Bree walk in, very clean, scrubbed, but not in a dress, as some of you may be said to miss.
Yeah. Varen looks a bit stressed as she walks into the room.
Basically, Dorian over here is brooding as he does.
Yeah.
Eden is like putting boots on and cursing slightly, sort of doing like a curse and then sort of like hushing and apologizing calmly as he's struggling to get a boot on. Ashra is looking forlornly at his armor as he takes it off piece by piece, while Mansalegud is sort of mumbling about blood not being as visible on red clothes, which is why he would never usually wear it.
Don't worry, the arrows are just easy to see. Wait, but they're using crossbow bolts.
Yeah, Alaric wants to be in all of his normal armor, seeing as crossbow bolts tend to go through armor. He wants to have anything that might stop it.
So he wants the normal armor ruined.
We've got an armor smith, it's fine.
He's not with us.
Yeah, but we only need to fight once. Hopefully. Okay, we
I
only
think
need
it's
to
gonna be a
fight
bit more
horribly
time
once.
spent.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
like 3
only
times.
need to fight once, Sir Alaric. I don't know what year it is in games, like 211, 212. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, it's 198, I think.
Okay.
Just off the
Yes,
top
it's
of my
Sir
head.
Alaric, 198. We only need to fight once.
And we only need to fight one lot of very dangerous foes, because, we've got 10 of the best knights in the Westlands to deal with.
Yeah.
When it comes to just ordinary guards, those guys are gonna put them to shame. So, yeah. Those
I
knights
don't
aren't
know
gonna
how
fuck
many ordinary people are babysitting the Longthorn.
Probably a few.
There'll be enough guards around. The knights need someone to do normal guard work. So,
Between 20 and 50, maybe.
yeah. Undoubtedly. I mean, I'd imagine it'd be the minimum to watch a keep.
We get there and it's a puzzle dungeon.
We all just cry at the entrance because none of us can figure out the first puzzle.
Sir Asher looks over to Alaric. Oh, yeah, that's the one who does tactics.
Anyone with 4 cunning can do this automatically, but
As it turns out,
bring that guy.
Send
Well,
a Raven for Decim.
I guess the reigns of
But
Casimir
what is
will
the
become a
answer
thing.
to?
Desmond would crush it with like 5 or 6 cunning.
Yeah. Desmond would be like, "You fools! It's this. How do you not know this? It's obvious. You imbeciles."
He's led into the circle. Offered some, like they didn't really have a lot of armor in Bree's size laying around, but they have like the clothes that you would give like a page or a young squire. So that's what has been made available.
All right.
What kind of armor are you wearing?
I'll wear a breastplate. It will reduce my AR by 1.
Yeah, I mean the breastplates do have the lion on there, but if you're wearing like a ring mail or something like that, there's not really an easy way to put lion on that. So even though they tried a few times, that's one of the things you can't easily do. So that of course would be fairly easy to wear as well. Yeah, beyond that, it seems at least that Rowan Roland would appreciate you getting out of the city faster rather than staying here for a while, since well, he wouldn't want you to stay here so long that his lord had problems from all the stress he's been enduring.
Well, I mean, we want to go save the Longthorn and, bring order to the Reach. So, we'll we want to leave sooner rather than later, I'm sure.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Yeah. So I'd imagine we just get ready and then, so long as everything's ship shape, we'll go.
Yeah.
All right, time to go back on the road.
Go. You gonna say something?
Yeah. Basically, before we leave, Varen would like to ask Alaric what we do after we actually rescue the Longthorn. Like, how do we get out of there? Do we just travel the road back here and then to Highgarden, or?
We probably won't take the road. We're probably gonna have to rely on Kievan to get us through the mountains, probably down closer to Silver Hill.
Mountains again, huh?
Thankfully, these mountains aren't anywhere near as bad as the Red Mountains.
I sure hope not.
If they are, we'll quickly be turning around and taking the road.
I'm glad I had the maces kit, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we can get to Silver Hill, there's a few paths leading down towards the reach that we can probably take.
Alright. Sounds good enough.
Of course, problematic news has reached your ears that a coalition, sort of Golden Grove, Old Oak, and Brightwater Keep, have, and their banner houses in addition, have declared for Damon and begin gathering a host at Golden Grove, which is unpleasantly in between Silver Hill and Highgarden.
Motherfuckers. We're probably going to have to go towards Red Lake, though. Split the difference between Craig Hall and Golden Grove.
Yeah. Or travel through country, like to Bitter Bridge or Long Table, and then travel downriver.
Yeah.
I know.
We'll probably have to cross River Road and Gold Road, which I don't like. Go through the larger section of the mountains near Lannisport, cut through. It's gonna be awkward, but some scouting as we get there will help make decisions.
So you guys wanted to stay here in the Westerlands until summer, is what I'm hearing with this route.
I mean, it's spring, so it won't be long until everything's good to walk through. We should be alright, or at least the shallower parts of the mountains.
Fucking nope, you know what, never mind.
Build a cottage and live there for a couple months, you know.
Yeah, we just can't
wait this war out.
Yeah, we can't just stay in the wilderness until the weather turns our way. We have to play the cards we have. And sadly, we can't walk around with the Longthorn with us. Not unless he's very good at disguising himself, which I don't feel he's had a lot of practice in.
Yeah. He's kind of recognizable as well.
Yeah. We'll just put him in a very, very big cloak. There we go.
Put him in a bag.
God.
Characters laughing about that sort of quietly as Asher sort of walks past us, looks at you. All laughing stops. He moves on.
Alaric probably pushes it a little bit. As he's probably done for many years.
Snicker, snicker, snicker.
Everyone stops dead and he's just like...
Gets a very nervous look in his face. Like, no.
You know, worst comes to worst, we'll just stay in the mountains for the duration of the rebellion. Be fine, don't worry about it. We've got Kevin.
No.
Longthorn is going to be a great aid in the mountains.
Yep.
Sure.
We can build him a green throne. It'll be fine.
King of the mountaintop.
We'll call it New Garden. There we go.
As the happy talk continues between the two, the little, I can call it sort of group, I suppose, the little party sets out towards the very north of the west. Probably gonna be about the northernmost that any of your characters have ever been. Iron Islands and Northern Riverlands and the North and the Vale generally aren't really great traveling locations for people who like to have fun. Life is too hard there for a lot of people to really be accepting of the lifestyle of the South. And, they're just really dour about everything when it comes to it. That's their problem. passing the rock is perhaps a bit gleeful. It is this very high, tall, intimidating structure of power, a projection of the dominance of the Lannisters, of how well kept, of how well they observe their land, of how few criminals are allowed to be here, of how they do not accept failure or rebellion. And yet here you are, enemy lords traveling right through it, right past it, unharmed, unscathed, wearing their colors, and they are none the wiser.
Brilliant.
Excuse me.
I said brilliant.
Yeah. Castamere is in the northern Westerlands. And as you've guessed, that means mountains.